When I began to study philosophy, I struggled a lot with Derrida's work, specifically understanding Derrida's idea of deconstruction. So I'm going to explain it to you here because I think I have a pretty good grasp of it now. But it's important to know what deconstruction is not before you understand what deconstruction is. And deconstruction is not, for Derrida, you can use the term however way you really like, but for Derrida, it is not the act of taking apart an argument that you disagree with or that you want to find holes in. That's not what deconstruction is for Derrida. Instead, deconstruction is for Derrida a method by which to engage with a binary to identify the ways in which one privileged term in a binary actually depends upon and shares many of the qualities of the opposite term that is assumed to be inferior to some extent. Now, in order to demonstrate this, he looks at the history of philosophy in which he identifies that speech has been privileged over its binary opposite, writing, where in the history of philosophy, speech has been appreciated because apparently it permits people to engage in more truthful dialogue with one another. You have body language, you have various inflections in your voice that you're able to communicate that you cannot get across with writing alone. Now, the deconstructive method for Derrida seeks to look at this binary or any binary and identify that the privileged term actually depends upon the subjugated term. In this case, speech depends upon writing. Not only that, but speech is actually a mirror. It embraces, contains many of the qualities assumed of the subjugated term. So in the case of speech and writing, writing is assumed not to be a true form of communication in the history of philosophy, or as much so as speech, because it allows for too much ambiguity in understanding. You write something down, someone might interpret it in so many different ways, whereas if they hear it, apparently people will understand things better. But Derrida identifies that actually in the case of speech, all it is really a different kind of writing. An arche writing is the term, but won't get into that. It's just another kind of communication that is open to a lot of ambiguity. If I say the word tree, all of you listening will conjure up a different image of a tree in your mind. It's not as though speech is some kind of transcendent form of communication. It is really just another kind of writing in the way that writing has been characterized as not being a true ultimate form of communication. Speech embraces these qualities as well. And this can apply to so many different binaries. That is, you can look at the subjugated term and identify that many of the things that the privileged term assumes to use to be separate from the subjugated term are actually not really separate at all. It embraces many of them and depends on them. So let me know what you think.